Hi guys and girls, and welcome to today's webinar. And of course, today's webinar is entitled Secrets to Online Marketing. Now, in the next half hour or so, I'm going to show you some stuff that you can really use to make money in your business. Now, here's one of the things I'll do. I'm going to keep it really simple. The truth is, a lot of online marketing has been overcomplicated. So I want to give you a whole series of techniques that anybody can use to radically increase how much money they make online with their business. Now, this is going to be stuff that you can use this week. It's not going to be stuff that takes months to set up. It's not going to be stuff that demands a PhD in technology in order to make happen. It's going to be just the short, sharp, powerful tips you need to make more money online, because that's what we're all about at the Fortune Institute. Practical, usable, proven stuff that really helps you. So officially, welcome to today's webinar. I'm really glad you're here, and you can be absolutely certain you are going to get some tips that are going to really help you. Okay, so who's this webinar for? Well, I think two people who dream of starting a business. So you might be online now and you're thinking, should I do it or should I not? And one of the things you're looking at is either you're going to do an online business, or you're thinking to yourself, okay, if I do an offline business, you know, a retail business or a service business, how do I bring clients in online? So I'll show you how to do that. And of course, we've got plenty of people on the line who already own a business and they just think, hey, I want to make some more cash using online techniques. And I have to tell you, you're in the right place, because the reality is that almost no businesses that I see, and I see businesses from all over the world. We coach people from many different countries who own businesses, some small, some huge. And I tell you what, almost exclusively, in my opinion, they're not maximizing their online marketing. In fact, they're not even getting halfway there. So we'll give you some steps to make more money, that's for sure. So what are we going to cover? Well, we're going to cover the enormous opportunity of online business. And there's been a lot of talk about this, and I'll address this as well. But I really will focus on the immense opportunity that is around today for your business and businesses of your size. I'll talk about a fundamental problem, though, that most business owners are experiencing when it comes to online marketing. And then I'm going to give you 14 powerful ways to make money. So if you can't think of a way to increase your income after this webinar, well, you may as well give up, because I'm going to give you a whole heap of stuff. So make sure you stay to the end, because there's some excellent techniques in the second half of the webinar as well. Okay, let's have a look at the enormous opportunity. Do you remember the year 2000? Well, it was a hell of a New Year's Eve, wasn't it? Gee, I remember I was in Sydney and up in lights after all the fireworks finished, over the Harbour Bridge, up came the word eternity, just written there. And it really affected everybody, because people thought, wow, this is an incredible time in history. And at the time, if you remember, the dot-com revolution was happening, and everybody was saying, oh, it's going to change the whole world, it's going to be extraordinary. And what followed that? Well, the dot bomb. And 90% of these businesses went out of business. And at that point, a lot of people said, oh, this internet stuff, it's not really that big. But what we've seen just in the last 2 years, I think, certainly before that, but especially in the last 2 years, we've seen this explosion of e-commerce, where the average person is prepared to give up going down to retail stores on some occasions and trust their credit cards online. And that is the beginning of an incredible wave, because we've also seen, and there's been a lot of news about this, how some of the major stores, the famous stores, let's say like Harvey Norman, etc., have been undercut by people who just say, bugger this, I'm going to buy it online, I'm going to buy it cheaper. So it's a revolution, all right. It's not the revolution that happened in the time frame that everybody thought in the year 2000, but it is a revolution nevertheless. And one of the keys to the enormous opportunity is, at last, we have a marketing system, a marketing methodology where we can measure everything. It's so difficult to measure a magazine ad and measure a TV ad or measure a poster that appears out on the street, isn't it? But this is the wonderful, wonderful opportunity of online marketing, that you can measure it. And for that reason alone, incidentally, that's going to make it a huge opportunity. But also you get to niche your audience. You get very, very tight on who you're actually getting to. You put an ad on TV, and sure, there's people who could buy your product watching the ad, but you're also paying for hundreds of thousands of people who are never going to buy your product to watch the ad. Take a typical car ad. Well, you've got all these people that say, I'm not going to buy a Ford if it's the last thing I do. And yet Ford are paying millions of dollars to advertise to these people. So it really is efficient, but it has some challenges, and I really want to get into some of those. Let's talk about the big problem of online marketing. It's a really obvious problem, but no one seems to be talking about it. Most people aren't making money online. All this talk about websites and online riches. Well, how's your online business going? How many leads are you getting online? Let me tell you the truth, folks. You're not alone. Most businesses aren't getting much online at all. The great promise of online so far hasn't been delivered. Now, here's the thing. It's not the problem of online, generally. Sure, some businesses don't work online, but generally, it's not the problem of online. It's the problem, may I say it, of the owners of the business. Why? Well, they're just not up to date on the current best methods of doing online marketing. And frankly, they're a bit spooked by this whole computer stuff, this online marketing stuff, and they shy away from it. It's something that they have to learn about, and they're a little scared of, and they don't really understand. So they don't spend much time working on it. But one of the things I really want to emphasize is you don't have to be a genius to get this online marketing stuff. I mean, look, when you first started email, when you sent emails to everybody else, hey, it was a little confusing, wasn't it? It was a little intimidating. And now it's incredibly natural. The actual techniques for sending an email to your best friend or to someone somewhere else in another office wasn't that hard, was it? You just had to get through that little bit of, 1 week when you got used to it. It's the same with online marketing. Don't be worried about it. We'll help you through it. We'll help you, do heaps of techniques. We can't fit them all on this seminar. What we're going to do is we'll probably do a 3-day webinar in the next few months where we teach in depth. And we also have our courses on the Fortune Institute's website. We can't fit it all in. It's a big subject. But what we can do is give you some stuff that will really help. Now, here's the key paradigm, the way of thinking that you need. You need to be prepared to break from the pack. You need to design a website in a way that other people don't do it. You need to design a Google ad in ways that other people don't do it. And we'll show you how to do that today. But the potential really is enormous. And if you're not devoting time to it, if you're not devoting half an hour a day to working on your online marketing, well, I'm telling you, you are leaving at the very minimum tens of thousands of dollars untouched. But very often for many of you, we're talking about, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, and for some people on the call, millions of dollars on the table by not getting serious about online marketing. Okay, so let's get into the heart of this. Let us talk about 14 powerful ways to make money online fast. You want to hear those? Well, we're going to separate them into 4 separate methods, okay? So to keep it really easy to follow, 4 separate methods. Now, the first one is all about redesigning your website. Now, I'm not talking about some massive redesign that's going to cost a fortune. It can be done simply. But here's the problem, guys. Most websites are just glorified brochures. They're just glorified brochures. I mean, literally, they're the brochure in online form. And there's just so many ways that you can improve your website quickly, easily. I want to just give you 3 now. The first, and arguably the most important way, is to switch the purpose of your website. See, at the moment, your purpose is probably to get someone to call you. So how's that, or to buy your product online? How's that been working for you? For 9 out of 10 of you, it hasn't been working well. Not many people calling, and not many people buying products, correct? People don't talk about this, but here's the cold hard reality. This is endemic. You're not alone. Don't think there's something weird. The reality is, this is reality for most small to medium businesses. So you need to switch the purpose of your website from what to what? Well, from just trying to get people to call you or buy the product to, and hear this clearly, it's very important, to getting the email address of anyone who visits. You see, if you actually look up your research on via Google on who's visiting your site, you're going to find that 99 people out of 100 that are visiting your website leave without buying or without calling you. Now think about this. Let's say at least half of them, and it's probably more, but let's say at least half of them were really interested in your particular style of product. Let's say they were looking for clothes, or they were looking for books, or they were looking for a lawyer, whatever you sell. But they didn't contact you. So you've lost them forever. You don't even know who they are. That's crazy. What you need to do is find out who they are before they leave. How do you do that? Well, you make us the fundamental part of your website, capturing their email address, by offering them something that's really useful. So it could be a newsletter. It could be a weekly tip. It could be a regular discount, notice of discounts that are coming up and sales that are coming about. It could be a free report. You know, let's say you're a plumber. You might say, get our free report on 7 ways to avoid being ripped off by plumbers. Now, I tell you, if you're a plumber and someone goes onto that website, well, they want to hear about that. They're going to click on and leave their email address. Well, at least, you know, let's say 10 to 15% of the people who visit your site are going to do that. Now, that adds up to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of potential extra customers a year. Think of the value of that. Think of how much money you could make if you got their email address. And then you can send them a newsletter. And then you can send them other reports. And then you can stay in touch. And then you can say, hey, do you want me to quote on something? Etc., etc. This is the fundamental change that has to be made to all websites. And in 5 years, everybody's going to wake up to it. Maybe. But at the moment, almost no websites understand this. So make this change, and I can tell you that itself will make you over $100,000 in the next few years, at the very minimum, by getting you more business and more leads. Okay, next, you want to add real, compelling testimonials. So what do I mean by that? I mean genuine people who have used your product or service, and they think it's great. Now, if you do this, you're going to massively increase how many people contact you. Here's why. Because one of the big problems of the internet is we don't know whether the company whose website we've happened upon is a 2-bit company based out of Taiwan pretending to be a legitimate company, or it's a substantial company. We don't know, do we? I mean, anybody can set up a website for a couple of $100 that looks pretty good. That's a problem. So believability is a major issue on the website. Now, what are you doing to increase the believability of your brand image and your product and service image and your company image on your website? Well, one of the best ways of improving believability is to put real people there who've dealt with you and have quotes from them with their names and the company they're from or from their location, and real quotes, and even better, video testimonials of these people's experience dealing with you. And I can tell you, if you put lots of testimonials on, your believability is going to go through the roof, and the number of people who are going to contact you will substantially increase. And then you want to put the juicy stuff, the real key parts of your sell, the key products, the key services, the most important parts of your company above the fold. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, many people aren't aware of this concept of the fold, but have a think the last time you went on a website. What you see is a screen full of stuff, and then you scroll down, don't you, to see more stuff. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people put important things below the fold. So, for instance, the offer of a newsletter, people will often put below the fold. They'll put testimonials below the fold. They'll put stuff that's really important about products or services or points of difference below the fold. Now, the stats are that dramatically less people scroll down. Do you know that the average person stays on a website 4 seconds before they go off? So you've got to put the best stuff above the fold so that they can see it, don't you? I mean, this is absolutely crucial. Now, if you just do these 3 things, I can tell you, your website's going to outperform your competition by a long way. Okay. Step 2, how to rank higher in search engines. Wow, if I had $1 for every time someone's asked me that question, let me give you some smart, easy, quick ways that you can make a real difference. First of all, you've got to remember that organic search is the main game. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people will pay SEO experts so that they rank higher in organic, and that's good. But what you don't want to do is spend your money paying most of your money just on Google ads. Because the truth is, and people don't talk about this, these stats aren't around, the effectiveness of Google ads is slipping. The number of people who click on a Google ad on top of a search or on the right of the search averages out at a 12 to 15% drop each year. So less and less people are clicking on Google ads. And I bet you're the same, aren't you? I bet you click on less Google ads than you did 2 years ago. It's less novel, it's less interesting. You've got used to it. Now here's the interesting thing. If you actually look at the price of Google ads, they're going up because people aren't aware that their effectiveness is going down. Now this isn't saying that Google ads aren't effective. They are. All I'm saying is that spending money, or most importantly time, improving the look of your website and doing stuff with your website so organically for free it goes higher in the search engine rankings, that is a great thing to do. That is a really important thing to do. And arguably for many companies it's more important than investing in something like Google ads, although I'll talk about those a bit later. So how do you do this? How do you rank higher in the search engines? Many techniques, can't get into them all now, but let me give you a few. Broadly speaking, there are 3 things you need for high ranking, and you must always be thinking about these every month when it comes to evaluating your website. The first is content, the second is links, the third is activity. Content. You want to make the content useful. Is your stuff just like a few paragraphs of boasting on your website? Well, the truth is if it's not useful, you're not going to rank highly on the search engines. A lot of people don't realize that Google actually analyze your website. They have things, which are kind of coolly called search bots. And these non-human things get into your website, have a look around, and then they report back to Google as to whether they think your stuff is useful. And second of all, whether it's current and changing. So they evaluate whether your website's changed. Now here's something most people don't realize. Some people do a nice website and even a useful website, and then they only change it once a year. Well, Google knows this. So they immediately think, I don't think that's of much use to the average person. A website that's been the same for the last year and a half? No, we'll rank those lower. You've got to keep changing your content. Every week ideally, but certainly every month. Adding new content, moving content around, including things like your blog or your newsletter. This can make a huge difference. Keep the content changing. Second of all, links. Generally speaking, the more relevant links you have, links to organizations related to your subject, or other companies of use, or interesting sites about your particular area of expertise, you'll rank higher. Now, in the old days, you could just put a million links on, and people would pay people just to put ridiculous links to strange companies in the Ukraine. And sure enough, their search engine ranking, organic, natural, would go up. But Google's a lot smarter now. You've got to make these relevant links. So what could you do? Who's 10, 15 companies you could link to that might actually help your consumer and try and get them to link back? And particularly if you can get educational companies, .org, .edu, universities, etc., to link back to you, then that will really help too. And if you can't do that, well, you want to link consistently back to your Facebook page with lots of Facebook postings for your company or for your person. And Twitter, or, spend 5 minutes a day. That's all you need, 5 minutes a day, doing a little Twitter feed and linking back to your website on different things that are available. And that is going to increase your search engine ranking as well. And thirdly, very big subject, but thirdly, activity. Keep it moving with blog comments, activity with, spend a little bit on Facebook ads and have that come back. E-newsletters should be on your site, should be changing all the time, should be sent out to your email list. And we'll talk a bit about that later. And always be linking back to your site. So people say, hey, or the Google search bots say, look, these guys, this particular website's got stuff happening. It's reaching out to its customers. It's got a good email list. It's people are coming in and out of the website from different places, a newsletter, from the Facebook ads, from blogs. And this is a relevant, useful, dynamic, changing, ever-deepening website. And when you do that, folks, you're not going to have to spend much money on search engine optimization. You're going to be ranked highly because it's a great site. Number 3, making money with pay-per-click ads, Google pay-per-click ads. What am I talking about? Didn't I just diss them? Didn't I say that less people are using them? Sure. But it doesn't mean that they're not highly effective. And they're still, arguably the most powerful medium currently around, depending on your subject, depending on your company. It doesn't work for everything, but works for a lot of stuff. You see, before Google, there was absolutely huge money wastage. I put an ad in a magazine. Let's say I'm a company and I'm selling perfume. Well, what about the 30% of, say, men that are reading that magazine? They're not going to buy it. It's just huge money wastage. And now, of course, we can spend very small amounts of money on Google and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, what do? We can change the headline. We can change the body copy. We can redesign the ad. We can do lots of other things that I'll talk about in a second. And critically, we can work on the keywords. And keywords really are, if you know only one thing about pay-per-click ads, and I do suggest that you experiment with them, which can be done at relatively low cost, it's all about the keywords. That's what you should be concentrating on. Now, for anyone who's never done Google ads before, what are keywords? Well, it's the words that you type in when you go on Google and click on their advertising section that attract people. So, for instance, let's say that I'm a lawyer in Sydney. One of my keywords that I want to use to attract people to my ad is lawyers Sydney, or Sydney lawyers, or lawyers from Sydney, or lawyers eastern suburbs, etc. They're keywords. And what happens is that most people only put a few keywords like that into their system. So whenever people see that stuff, they'll see your ads. Now, here's the problem with that. Everybody else is doing the same thing. So it's often really expensive to pay for ads with these that are linked to these keywords when people are searching for these terms. So what you want to do is you want to do heaps of keywords and then see what works. So more unusual keywords around your profession or your product or your service. More lateral ones, more niched ones. And experiment. See what works, because maybe 3 times less people will click it on, but maybe the cost of the ad, the Google ad with those keywords is 5 times less. So even though you might get less people contacting you, it might be cheaper. And second of all, maybe you get less people contacting you, but maybe they're better buyers. So you've got to do heaps of keywords and then pull it back. After a couple of months, you go, okay, these are the keywords that really work for me. And most people don't do that. They just try a few obvious keywords. That's the first place you need to look. And if you haven't done Google Ads, don't get spooked out about keywords. Just go on a Google site, click on advertising, and there's some beautiful videos and really well explained stuff on how to do keywords. And in online courses that we've got at the Fortune Institute, we've got heaps of stuff to teach you there. Very easy. We've really simplified it. So go on www.fortuneinstitute.com or the fortuneinstitute.com, either search will get you there, and you'll find a great course. We've also got coming up this incredible seminar where we're going to get some of the best people in the world talking about online and how to maximize it. But for now, concentrate on keywords and do more. Then you want to use the same words in your headline as you used in your keywords, so that when people search, let's say, lawyers Sydney, the headline should be lawyers Sydney. Now, most people don't do that. They think, oh, it's too obvious. But let me tell you, time and time again in research, if you simply switch the headline of your Google ad to the same keywords, same words that you're using as keywords, your response will go up. True. Amazing, but true. And then here's a technique that almost no one knows. Use capital first letters. So for each word, let's say lawyer Sydney, make it a capital L and a capital S. Or, whatever you do, let's say you might have four words in your headline, make each one with a capital first letter. once again, most people don't realize this, almost certainly your response will go up. So try those 3 techniques and that should make a big difference. Number 4, how to become a master of email marketing. Well, let me keep it simple. Mastery perhaps, that's not so easy in 5 minutes, but I can tell you what, I can give you some tips that will really help the response of your email marketing and definitely make you better than your competitors. Look, email is just a wonderful medium. Sure, there's a bit of flack happening and there's some interesting things happening in the very near future with the cost of email that I might talk about at a later date, but it really is the ultimate medium. It's instant sending. You can get a reaction within 10 minutes as to whether people are interested. It's very trackable. You know who opened the email, you know what time they opened if you use an internet service provider. You can even see how many minutes, in some cases, they spent reading your email. And it's almost free. Essentially, it's free, isn't it? There's virtually there is a slight cost to your internet service provider, but basically it's a free medium. How incredible is that? It's instant, it's free, it's trackable. And the truth is, you're not making the most of it. Probably. So let me give you a few techniques to help. First of all, focus on building your list. So, it kills me sometimes. Sometimes I speak to people who've been in business 5 years and I say, how many people on your email list? And they'll say, I don't know, 30. Like they're doing nothing to build their email list. But your email list, folks, if all you get from this is just to build your email list, it's gold. Because that's people who are interested in your product or service. So stay in relationship with them. Send them newsletters, send them discounts, send them tips, send them free reports, send them stuff that you think might help them. Focus on giving value. And more people will stay on your email list. And they'll become fans of what you're offering. And they'll start respecting you as an expert in your area. Don't just try and sell people. Look, one of the things I say is that you should email ideally every week, but at the very, very least every month to your list. Because if you don't, you'll lose relationship with them. And people say, I could never email every week. But don't flatter yourself. They're not opening those emails half the time. And if they open it once a month out of the 4 that you send every week, that's not a bad result. But even if they do open it, you want to use that email to increase relationships. So trust me, you can send a useful email, a short, sharp, useful email about something they're interested in, with discounts, with tips, with facts, with information they didn't know about the issue that they are interested in, and they'll love you for it. Generally, you might get a few cancellations, but generally it's going to improve your chances of getting a sale. Now, here's the important thing. Don't just try and sell them stuff. Use a 75-25 information to sales split. So at least 3/4 of your email has got to be useful stuff. It's got to be stuff they want to read that's not just selling them. Now, yes, you can put in a bit of a sell at the end, but even better, just make once every maybe 4 of your emails. Make it a bit of a sell. You can do that. People will put up with that as long as most of the time they're getting value. Or if you do put a sell on every email, make sure that the majority of the email is not just flogging them stuff. Now, most people who have an email list will always try and flog you stuff. And the problem is people cancel. They don't want to be sold all the time. Help them. Give value. Do more for them. And they'll respect you more and they'll stay on your list longer. Now, that's a heap of techniques. Can you believe it? 14 techniques just in that period of time. I hope you got value out of it. I'm just here to give you value. At the Fortune Institute, we do take this giving thing seriously. We just want to give you stuff that helps you for now. If you want to later do a course with us or later do a seminar with us, well and good. If you don't, no problem. If I can improve our reputation by giving you great stuff that you can use that's practical and simple to change your business, to improve your wealth, well, we'll be happy because our reputation will increase. So I thank you for being on this webinar today, and I hope you got a lot of information, not just out of this, but the series of webinars that we've been doing for you to help you build the business of your dreams. And the reason we do it is, look, here's the reality. Almost no businesses are functioning anywhere near their capacity. It kills me to see people slaving away in businesses, sometimes struggling to make any money. Whereas if they only got a bit of help from us, they could end up making vastly, vastly more than they are now, and frankly working less hours, because we can help a lot with productivity too. Anyway, glad you came on the webinar. Really appreciate your time, and thanks so much for being part of the Fortune Institute.